The Pool was recently released on Shudder. It says it's from 2018, but I'm not really honestly sure how any of these work anymore because I think this is the first time we're getting to see this, so I'm going to count it as 2020. I don't know. Anyways, this is from Thailand, and it is about a young guy who's working on maybe a commercial shoot, something like that. They're filming something in a pool. He's a dog trainer. I don't know if it seems like he does other stuff on the set, so I think he's just kind of a hired hand to help out. And he stays after, and he has this romantic relationship with this young girl on set. And he stays after the next day to clean up, and he's the last guy on shift. And when his friend goes to leave, he starts to drain the pool. And he tells the guy, but the guy, just is relaxing in the pool, and he's on a raft, and he falls asleep. And when he wakes up, the pool is about halfway drained, and this is like an Olympics swimming pool that's been abandoned. They only used it for the shoot, and he cannot get out of the pool. And he tries and he tries and he tries, but he can't get out of that pool. And then a crocodile or an alligator, I think it's a croc, doesn't matter, whatever, they're so similar. One of those gets in there with him. And so now he has to survive in a pool with a crocodile in it. Now, or an alligator. Now, I quite enjoyed this film, but let me say, this is a certain type of movie. I've seen movies like this many times. There's a movie called Burning Bright, where a young woman and her brother with autism, I think it's her brother, I'm pretty sure it's her brother, not her son. Yeah, it's her brother, are trapped in this house, like purposely trapped in this house. Somebody locks them in there during a hurricane with a fucking like Bengal tiger released into the house. Okay. And the movie Crawl, of course. I'm not going to list every fucking movie like this, but there is a kind of movie where, and usually animals are involved. Typically they throw in some killer predator into the film as well, like with Burning Bright and Crawl. But this is the absolutely everything that could go wrong, almost like a Murphy's Law, will go wrong in this movie. Like everything imaginable and unimaginable. So now, I'm not going to say this film is flawless, perfect. It isn't. There's a few times, towards the end especially, that I rolled my eyes so hard it almost gave me brain damage. Like, there's some sequences at the end where I'm just like, oh, come on, ridiculous. I mean, it's just the writer sitting down and being like, okay, what can go wrong now? Okay, what can go wrong now? And there are some serious eye roll moments towards the end where you're like, okay, Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it. I still enjoy these kinds of movies. Crawl is much better, okay? Crawl is the best of these types of movies that I've personally seen. But it does remind me of something like Burning Bright, where it's just one after the other after the other. Also reminds me of Open Water 2, Adrift, which actually is a terrifying plot to me, and for some reason it doesn't work for a lot of people because they seem to think that they'd be able to get out of the situation super simply, and I'd love to throw their fucking asses right in the water and see if they actually could, because that kind of shit annoys the fuck out of me. Oh, I could get out of this pool. I could get out of this pool. This is what I do. This is what I do. I hate that shit. I really hate that shit. Unless it's like super, super dumb. Like, unless it's like, why didn't they do this? They could have easily gotten out of this like that. Unless it's like that where it's like undeniably dumb, which is rare. These situations are much more dire than people seem to think. I'll throw your ass in a 25, 30 foot pool with no ladder, nothing in it, slick walls all the way up, and let's see you get out of it. And I'll throw a fucking alligator in there or a crocodile or whatever to boot. Let's see. But yeah, I have some serious issues with this film. Like there's one scene in particular with a pipe, and it goes in two directions, and one direction gets explored and the other one doesn't for a very, very, very long time. And I was like, really? What? You wouldn't both ways? Really? But that being said, there is another element to this movie that I want to warn people about if they're going to watch it. If you're an animal lover and you're sensitive to on-screen animal death or something like that, and this isn't have anything to do with it does. I don't want to, I already guess I kind of spoiled this, but I have to say this because it's one of the most sad, brutal fucking things I've seen in a while on an animal. And I was like, God damn, man, that was rough to watch and unnecessary. Like, it feels unnecessarily sad. You'll see, if you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I was like, fuck, dude, this is rough. Like, that was definitely one of the most rough animal deaths I've ever watched. Ever. So, if you're opposed to the animal death and such, which a lot of people are, and they're turned off to that, this is a fucking rough one. This is a fucking rough one. So, anyway, yeah, let me know if you watch it. It's from Thailand. I didn't want to give any more spoilers to it, so I did leave out some elements of the plot just because I think it's more interesting for it to develop into the film, and just kind of how those things get into the movie. It's yet another like, oh my god, come on, literally everything that could go wrong is going wrong, which I like that kind of shit. It's fun to me. Like, even though I roll my eyes, I'm still having a good time. I can disconnect myself from like reality and be like, fuck it. Like, this is how the story's playing out. This is how ridiculous shit's getting. But it's just when decisions are extremely unbelievable that I have a hard time. That's all. I don't care if everything goes wrong in a movie. Like ad nauseum. If everything just keeps going wrong, keeps going wrong, keeps going wrong. That's fine for me. And for the most part, this movie does that very well, and I don't really have any issues with it. Oh, and another issue is the CGI on the croc or the alligator is really bad. And let me tell you, don't start your movie, like if you have bad CG on your main antagonist within the film, don't showcase that in the opening. Like, don't put a fucking focus on it. Although maybe you should. Maybe you should. I just feel like people will shut it off immediately if they see that and be like, I'm going to watch this. Because it looks like one of the later Lake Placid sci-fi original fucking movies, like that horrid CGI. Like only when it's in attack mode though, when it's attacking him. Then when it's by itself and it's over in a corner, it might actually even be real at that point, or I don't know. But it looks fine. It looks totally fine when it's not attacking, but when it is attacking, it is CG and it's really, really bad. And they start the movie with that, and I was like, ooh, that's not a good way to start this movie. But I'm entertained. And I think if you know what you're getting into, and you know you're going to roll your eyes a bunch, and you know you're going to have problems with how this is handled and whatnot, and you can take a really fucking sad, brutal animal death, check it out. It's on Shudder. Let me know. Adios.